Good evening. This is Coach with episode number 2 of Coach's Corner. And as they would say on the TV show The Goldbergs, episode 800 something for the Rig Game or NWUSA's podcast. I thought I'd take a little time on my second podcast to talk about a recent trip that my wife and I took. If you are Diamond Plus or Diamond uh, the next level diamond or 7 stars, Caesars will offer you 4 day getaways that basically are free. They do charge a $50 fee per person, but they leave from different areas of the nation. And most of the destinations are either Laughlin, Reno slash Lake Tahoe, Atlantic City. There's some to Biloxi, and actually, just today I got an email about one to Las Vegas, which I never had seen before. But anyways, we had opted to take a trip to Reno, and you had the option of Reno or Lake Tahoe, and we chose Reno because there's 3 casinos there in Reno, and we decided to do it. Our anniversary actually fell on the second day that we would be there. We were scheduled to leave on June 8th, and we'd stay for 4 nights and fly back to Springfield, Missouri. So we started our trip June 8th, spending the night at one of our what do we call our local casinos in northeast Oklahoma. I had won $750 the prior day before that, so I was feeling pretty good about that. We got up and we were going to play until noon and then get the gift of the week at noon. Fortunately for me, I won $202 before noon came. We At noon we went to go get our gifts and they weren't on the kiosk, so we were both kind of confused. Uh, and usually in the past, what this casino's done the past few months is on Thursday you could get a gift, and then on Sunday you could get a different gift. I had picked up the 2 gifts on Thursday, and they were both small purses, and my wife, of course, kept one and just going to give one to probably one of her friends or her daughter or something. But on Sunday, the gift wouldn't come up, and I wasn't even sure what the gifts were. And then finally, somebody in the line told us that they had changed the policy in that you could either get the same gift on Thursday or Sunday, but not on both days. So, just something I learned probably, or something I need to remember, is to make sure and read the mailers when they come to you instead of just glancing over them. We could have left an hour or two earlier and not been as rushed. Well, we went up to a casino in near Joplin, Missouri, and on that Sunday, you could put 65 points on your card, and you got a very nice Hurley tumbler. So we put the points on our cards. Unfortunately, I lost $75 to move to $127 up for the day. I had $40 in resort fee, and my wife had $20 in resort fees, and we originally was going to eat the buffet, which of course is becoming a kind of a unicorn as far as casinos nowadays. And they do have a fantastic buffet there, but we were feeling a little queasy or little bit upset stomachs. So what we decided to do is use the resort credits to get just a bag full of snacks. We got some beef jerky and some Chex Mix and other things like that, which probably played a big role later on in the day. Well, we headed to the airport, we were flying out of Springfield, Missouri, which is a fairly small regional airport, so there's not a whole lot of hassles going through TSA or anything. We were scheduled to leave Springfield at 5:40, so we started rolling out, and then we stopped. We were flying with Sun Country Airlines, which they do the charters for the Caesars trips. And the pilot got on the PA and said, "We have to stop. We're going to have to replace a headlight on the plane," which is kind of, I don't know if it's really scary to think about it, but at least they thought about it. So we actually took off probably about 20 minutes later than we anticipated. Well, it wasn't a direct flight because we were going to stop at Pueblo, Colorado to pick up some more passengers. So we arrived at Pueblo around 7 o'clock local time or mountain time. And we sit on the tarmac, and uh, you could say Pueblo International Airport, but it's more like Pueblo's neighborhood airport. There's one single gate uh, at the airport. You have to roll up the ramps to get on the plane. There's no actually the gates where you walk onto, and there's probably uh, in the area where you after you pass TSA, there's probably about 60 seats in there that people can sit in this little room, and that's basically it. And then you go directly from that out to the tarmac, to the airport, to the airplane. The inside, before you go in, is probably about 150 seats. And so we sat on tarmac quite a while, but I figured it took some time to roll up the ramps and stuff. And so then they noticed it started getting warm on the plane. Well, what happened was when they came to a stop, they had to turn off the plane to allow the people to board. Well, when they turned it off, the auxiliary or the battery was not working, and so it was the lights were not on, the air conditioning was not working, so it was getting a little bit warm in the plane. Well, my wife and I was in the very front seat, and we could look out, and they rolled a huge generator up to the plane, and so they hooked the generator up, but the dials weren't working. And my wife said, "Look, they're looking on Google to figure out how to do this." I said, "Oh, this is not good." So then they started discussing if you need to go to the bathroom, you may want to go to the bathroom here in the plane, even though it's dark and you're going to have to use your phone to see what you're doing and you can't flush. So I naturally decided to go to the bathroom, and they said if we go into the sterile part of the airport, there's no bathroom there. And I thought, well, surely this is a public airport. There's got to be a bathroom in there. And they finally said we're going to get off the plane. But what they meant by no bathroom in the sterile area is that's the area once you go through TSA. We all went to the non-sterile area because there's just too many of us. The poor folks from Pueblo, the part of the flight was in the sterile area when we walked in there. Uh, so we just all found seats and started talking and just visiting. That, what thought would be 30 minutes to maybe 40 minutes kept dragging on and dragging on. I told my wife I haven't walked. Let's go out and walk a little bit. She walked about a mile, and I walked 3 more miles because there wasn't much else to do. So eventually, the June 8th rolled into June 9th. I remember at 12:02 in the morning, I kissed my wife and said, "Happy anniversary." Even though we'd been there 5 hours. Uh, the airport director, bless her heart, she was doing everything she could to make us comfortable. She was digging out any kind of snacks she could find. She found some leftover Easter candy to give us, and she was just trying to do the best to keep the peace and keep everybody from just going crazy. Finally, about approximately 12:20 in the morning, they said we can start boarding again. So we thought, okay, we're going to make it to Reno tonight. Well, here's another situation. Even though every soul that was on the plane has gone through TSA earlier in the day, I guess FFA requirements are we have to go through TSA again. So this little airport, naturally, I think they maybe they just call TSA in on when they have it periodically, maybe 2 or 3 flights a day, if that. And so they had to call TSA to get them back. And so that was in the process probably prior to midnight. We started going through TSA and doing everything, but they were not near as thorough as they normally would. You didn't have to take your shoes off or your belts off or anything like that. But my wife and I were literally the last couple that had gotten on the plane. There were still about 40 people behind us, so there were still people boarding the plane. We had just sat down when the pilot came out and said, "Sorry, folks, our stewardess have been at duty for 18 hours. We cannot put the plane in the air because they cannot go past 18 hours, so you're going to have to deplane." At that point, everybody had been pretty calm, but a guy I call Mr. Goodwrench, because he was actually wearing a Mr. Goodwrench shirt, just went ballistic and went all over that poor director of the airport. It really wasn't her fault. I mean, it was the I guess Sun Airlines or what, I don't know. It was just they just took too long and had to call TSA out and all that. Uh, Kind of find out there during all these conversations, there was a guy that worked for the Air Force, and he said airplanes are actually kind of like cars. They have batteries, and if the battery goes down, you can do a generator and basically jumpstart the plane. Now, this sounds kind of scary, but once the plane started, it's kind of like a car that has battery problems. Once the car gets started, gets going, it'll go on, and not have any issues until maybe you turn it off again. So But anyway, so at this point they decided we're gonna they're gonna get us hotel rooms to spend the night. So they told us to form three lines. I was the second one in one in the line furthest to the right. Well, the one to the left, they said they didn't say anything before this. The one left, they said, "Well, you'll go to Holiday Inn Express." The one next to me, I think they went somewhere like the Ramada. My line was the Days Inn line. I said, "Oh boy." So probably approximately around 1:40, they brought some transit buses in and started busing us to the hotel. I'm assuming Caesars are, I believe they covered the hotel room because we didn't have to show our credit card or anything when we got there. I told the lady this is some way to spend her anniversary, and she says, "Oh, okay." So she gave us room 201. Room 201 was, I jokingly told my wife this was the honeymoon suite. It was a extended room. Had a leather couch, probably dating 1975 fashion, and the same thing with a leather chair. And if you had some luminol and some infrared light or blue lights, you could probably get hit the sheets and see a lot of blood stains. 'Cause, I mean, the place was just nasty. There was where they cleaned the tub. There was still Comet laying in the tub, and my wife was so grossed out by it, she just put a towel down when she took a shower the next day. But anyways, we turned on the TV and we switched channels and we could get the TV to work again. So I asked the lady, what to do, and she came up while she's in there fixing the TV. She goes, "Do you love our luxury suite?" I was like, "Oh, yes, it's wonderful." So I don't want to tell her any differently. So finally got to sleep. Next day we got up and found out before we went to sleep that they had rescheduled our flight for 3 o'clock the next day. Uh, Sun Country had given us a $60 credit, or actually we had to get reimbursed for it, but $60 that we could go eat on. So my wife and I, we went and ate at Golden Corral for our anniversary. So we walked about the mile down to Golden Corral and ate there. Then we walked back. One of the things that a lot of people were complaining about is you had to find your own transportation back to the airport. So we got an Uber, and it was a relatively close, short trip. It was about $15 for the Uber, and there was not neither Caesars or Sun Country volunteered to reimburse us for that, but that was, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that. Naturally, we were supposed to leave at 3. We left about 3:45. We arrived at Reno at 4:45 local time. We got off the plane, started checking a few of the slot machines in the airport. There was a smorgasbord. It was a fantastic place. Unfortunately, some of those fantastic plays were going to take quite a bit of time. We just played the plays that took about a minute or two to play, and I won a quick $51 in the airport before we got on the shuttle. We got on the shuttle and sat on the shuttle for about 30 minutes. So I'd known that is the case. We probably could have played a couple of the other plays. We finally arrived at the Silver Legacy Casino at 6 p.m. and got checked in. Caesars, this was not part of the package, but when we checked in, Caesars told us that for each person in the room, we got $100 room or resort credit. So we had $200 room or resort credit just charged to our room for food for the next 2.5 days. So a little bit about if you've never been to Reno, the Caesars properties, they're downtown on Virginia Street, kind of the old part of Reno. And there's actually three casinos that Caesars runs. The Silver Legacy, which is in the middle, El Dorado, if you walk out towards the casinos to the right, and then the Circus is to the left. The El Dorado and Silver Legacy are multi-level. They're the upper level that has a few slots scattered, and then all three of the casinos. Once you go downstairs, there's big, good-sized casinos in all three of those. Circus on their top level, they have like the circus acts and a smaller version. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, a smaller version of what the little area where all the games are, and kids can do stuff upstairs at the Circus, much like the one that's in Las Vegas. The decor of the all three casinos was kind of like, I'd say, 1990s or something. It kind of, if anyone's ever been to the Riverside Casino in Laughlin, it's kind of got that same rustic older feel. which is kind of kind of romantic in a way for a casino. And but it's easy to get from casino to casino. You don't have to go outside. You just basically walk inside from one casino to the others on the top level. Now, the bottom level, where the major part of the casinos are, there's not a connection between two casinos, so you have to go upstairs. There's plenty of food options between the three casinos, and so it's a nice little getaway. Uh, for the APs, there's not a huge selection of games, and being there Monday through Wednesday, there was not a lot of turnover on the games, so your selection of good positive plays was probably slightly limited. We played from about 6 p.m. to about midnight the first night. Uh, I won $140 for the day, so actually I won $91 at the Silver Legacy and the other casinos. Got up on the 10th, and we just decided to mainly play and use some of our food credits to eat decently. And uh, at the El Dorado, there was a progressive that must hit by 2,000. And so I put my wife on that one, and because she was we're both trying to make 7 stars this year, and she's about 25,000 points behind me. So I thought, well, this is a good point getter because the progressive was at 1,955 when we started, and it must hit by 2,000. Now she started out okay on the progressive. She was down 8 or 9, well, $900 initially, and then she slipped about $1,500 down. She's a little tired of playing, so she had me play it for a little bit. I instantly hit a bonus for $600, so it was back down to about $700 down. The end run, like the last, and there's a lower progressive that hits at 200. So the last 3 or 4 times that we went to the $200 progressive, the game just went to the dogs. And my wife ended up actually finishing the play $1,900 down. I have documented 6 plays on this game, and out of the 6 plays, I've lost once, and I lost $222 that one time. I've never seen a loss like this. In fact, my 6 plays that I played chasing the $2,000 progressive, I'm up a combined $5,507 on those plays. So this was definitely a statistical outlier. And so I actually uh, played a few other things and had a pretty good day myself. I ended up finishing the day ahead $450, and my wife unfortunately finished the day almost $1,700 down. Got up the last day, and we had planned several things. We'd planned to rent a car one day and maybe drive out to Lake Tahoe and maybe check out some of the casinos in Reno. And since we lost a day and a half, we just opted just to play and not even go swimming. The last day we did play a lot of video poker, and we were playing video poker in the Silver Legacy when a host came up to us, and I guess we had both put over 25 or 2,500 points on our cards the day before. I playing that progressive in other games, and so the host offered us a dinner at the steakhouse for $150 to cover that. We had kind of been strategically saving our money, and we had $60 out of the $200 room credit left for dinner that night. So of course, we took her up on the steakhouse. So went to steakhouse and ate, and then we just used the last $60 to get a few snacks and get a couple of T-shirts at the gift shop. So that was nice. I finished $267 ahead for that day, and my wife finished about $400 ahead. We both hit royal flushes. I think she hit 2 royal flushes. We was playing nickels, 10 play nickels. And it's nice. They actually have 9-6 jacks or better, but unfortunately, it takes $20 coin in to get a point. So we weren't worried as much this last day about getting points. We just decided we'd just enjoy our chance to play some semi close to full play video, full pay video poker. We were actually getting ready to call it a night, and I was down a little bit, and on video poker, and I think we was about 5 minutes away from quitting, and I actually hit my first royal flush of the day. So Uh, I won $287 that day. We had to be on the bus the next day to get back to the airport at 5:30 in the morning. So we got on the bus. I was anxious to get ahead of one guy that I knew was actually another AP. We had actually talked to him 2 or 3 times. We talked to him at the airport, and we talked to him, but a couple times. Then I noticed that he was checking the same games I was checking, and my goal was just mainly to get ahead of him. Unfortunately, he was ahead of us on the bus, but when we got in the line to get our tickets, he had gone to the bathroom somewhere else, and so he got behind us. So I was able to check everything at the airport. There was not near the options of good plays as there was when we got off the plane. I still managed to win $46 at the airport before we took off that morning. I finished my Reno trip up $877, and so I felt like it was a enjoyable trip. Other than, of course, having the issues of not being able to get there the time we were supposed to get there. We arrived back in Springfield, and our plans were to return to the casino we'd spent the night at before we left to get the gift of the day, but we were that adds about 2 hours to our drive. So we decided just to head on home that day. Head home and just rest because we were kind of worn out from the trip. Uh, so again, I just kind of wanted to share our harrowing experiences going to Reno. Uh, if you get a chance to do one of these junkets, they're still kind of fun. If you can correlate the junkets with some kind of special promotion, and we've done this in the past. We've gone to Laughlin where there was also 5 times tier point stays during that time. So if you can find one of those kind of promotions that correspond with these trips, it even makes them much more worthwhile. Again, if you were at the diamond levels, uh, I think diamond plus or above, uh, the trip is basically free other than a $50 service charge they charge you. So it's 4 nights for free, air travel for free. So you can't beat that as far as today's standards. You know how much airplanes cost and everything. So we are. I want to do this one real quick. We're actually in one of our southern casinos near Texas. We are traveling to Galveston tomorrow to get on a Royal Caribbean cruise. It's going to be our first Royal Caribbean cruise in over 2 years. So I'm interested to see what the casinos are like and what things have changed since then. And so I may skip a Saturday and 2 Saturdays from now have my episode number 3. But until then, hit lots of bonus rounds, hit lots of jackpots. This is Coach. Again, my email is fremontfreebies@gmail.com if you have any comments or questions. Until then, good luck.